Well, hello scrappers, YouTubers, gold lovers of all sorts. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to start a big project today, a fairly big project, something I really haven't done before. I'm going to start a toll refining series of videos. Somebody has sent me a great big and heavy, very heavy box full of ram chips. And the fellow who sent this his name is Ken Peters. And he lives up in British Columbia, Canada. And Ken has his own Facebook page. I'll put a link to that down in the description so you can check him out. Now, Ken and I were having a little discussion. I was out of town for a month and a half, and we started emailing back and forth to each other about the possibility of me doing some toll refining for him. And I told him it's not something I normally do, but it's something I would be interested to getting into. Now, a lot of people ask me to toll refine for them. A lot of people ask me that. I get those requests all the time. But they usually just have a couple of pounds of something or some really low-grade stuff that is really just not worth my effort to work on. But Ken said, hey, I could send you 35, 40 pounds of ram chips. How does that sound? And I thought that sounded like something I could do. You know, I could refine that for him and take a percentage for myself and make some videos too. So it sounded like a good idea to me. So I told him to go ahead and send it, but wait till I got back because I was going to be out of town for, you know, a month and a half, and I didn't want the porch pirates to steal this thing because there's potentially a lot of gold in here. So let's open it up and take a look and see what we got in here. A bubble wrap and lots of bags. Ugh. Yes, these are definitely ram chips. These are BGA ram chips. I'll give you a close-up look at them here in a bit. But Ken has obviously depopulated a whole lot of ram sticks to get these chips. You know what? Let me see. Are they all BGA? They are not all BGA, but it looks like he has taken the legs off of the ones that aren't BGA. So, okay, so they're not all BGA, but it looks like a lot of them are. A lot of them are BGA. Okay. So, I think my first step is to weigh these things up. If I get this bag closed again. Because there's a lot of bags in here. Let me weigh them up and see just how much we've got here so we can calculate a yield at the end. So I got my scale out. Come on, scale. Alright, so what do we got here? 4.84 pounds. Yes, I'm using imperial units. I will convert the total over to metric for you later. The US is one of the big holdouts on still using imperial units. Hey, it got us to the moon. How bad can it be, right? Okay, so this was 5.97 pounds. Alright, I'm going to weigh up all these bags, alright? And then I will give you the total weight afterwards. Okay, I've got all the bags weighed, crunched the numbers. So what we have here, 45.19 pounds, or just about exactly 20.5 kilograms of IC chips. Looks like mostly BGAs, but with some other types mixed in. And this one bag over here has a lot of debris in the bottom of it, but I see a lot of bits of gold in that debris. So I think it's good debris. So, you know, those weights include the weight of the bags. Somebody's always points that out. Hey, buddy, you're weighing the bag too. Yeah, I'm weighing the bags too. The bags don't amount to much. They're not going to make a big impact on yield. There's also labels. There's a lot of labels in here, so I don't think that's going to make much of a difference in yield either. But, okay, so they're all weighed up. So we'll see how much gold I can get out of 45.19 pounds of ram chips. The first step, as usual, when I am processing ram chips, is, well, first you would be depopulation, but Ken's already taken care of that. They're all depopulated. And the ones that aren't BGA chips also have their legs removed already, which is something else I would normally do. So the next step is to go straight to incineration. Turn these into ash. And then we'll grind them up, sieve them, do a gravity separation, and extract the gold from the mud that's left. So let me get started. Let me get set up to start incinerating these. It's a lot of chips here. It's going to take a lot of runs through my foundry furnace to incinerate all these. So I may be at this for a few days. But I'll give you a look at part of the process. You won't have to watch the whole multi-day process. You're welcome. Okay, I said the next step is incineration. So we're going to incinerate these chips. We're going to do it in my foundry furnace. I've got my Mondo big Crucible over here. It holds a lot of chips. I've got my usual piece of steel brake line here, which I'm going to put down to the bottom of the Crucible before I fill it up with chips, so that I can pump air into this brake line with my air compressor, and we'll burn the chips from the bottom up as we're burning them from the top down, and we'll get much better ashing of the chips that way. There'll be a lot less carbon. Okay, so we're going to get fairly complete oxidation of the chips. Now this is going to take a lot of runs through my foundry furnace because there's a lot of chips here, and there's a lot of labels, and yeah, we're not going to get a whole lot of chips per Crucible. Oops, wait a minute. I saw something else go in there that was not a chip. Well, first off, here's a flip chip with a die on it. There may or may not be any gold in those pads on the bottom. We'll see. And then I saw something else go in here that was not a chip. Let's see if I can dig it out again. Yes, I know chips are going all over the bench. I will sweep them up. They're not going to get lost. Where did that doohickey go? Well, I don't see it now, but I'm pretty sure. Well, there's a chip with legs on it still. There's another one. That's okay. We'll process them too. But I thought I saw the connector from a SATA hard drive. Here's another flip chip. Actually, now that's a little module. It's got a BGA chip on it. We'll incinerate it and see what happens. There's another flip chip. That looks like a rock. Well, I don't know where that doohickey went that I saw go out of the corner of my eye in there. It looked like the connector from an SATA hard drive. They put it back in here. I don't know. Well, anyway, we have a variety of stuff here, not just RAM chips apparently. So we'll burn it all and process it all and see what we get out of it. In fact, I'll throw these flip chips and this module in here. Yeah, I'll sweep up the bench later. So it looks like I might be able to get about half of a bag. Well, maybe a little less than half a bag per Crucible load. So there were a lot of bags. So this is going to take a lot of runs through the foundry furnace to ash all these chips. But that's okay. For a change, I'm getting paid for it, you know? I'm going to sweep the floor too, apparently. Okay. Alright, that's probably about all I want to put in on this run. Ooh, I can see the gold on the back of those. I don't know if it's showing up. Probably not. I can see the gold on the back of those chips. Alright, so let me get this in the foundry furnace and we'll get it fired up, and I'll clean up this mess so I don't lose anything. Okay, I've got that Crucible load of Nick's chips in my foundry furnace, my decrepit old foundry furnace. This is going to be the last project for it, I think, because I have plans to rebuild it bigger, stronger, faster, better than before. Extra credit if you know where that comes from, okay? So, I got a burner down here, propane tank. Got a little regulator that's going to trickle air down through the brake line to the bottom of the Crucible. The air line goes off to my air compressor, which is out of the field of view. So I'm going to start this up, get it burning. I'm going to put the stack on top of it, the reburner stack, so that we don't get a lot of smoke. And we will burn this batch of chips. And probably, well, if the weather holds out, I'll get several batches through today. Because the burning actually only takes a few minutes, but the actual, I got to let it cook for quite a while to burn off all the carbon after the actual flames die down. I'll just let the trickle of air go through the Crucible, and it'll glow like charcoal briquettes glowing in a barbecue. And that'll happen for like maybe an hour, and then it's got to cool down enough that I can handle it and get it out and load the next batch in. So if I get 3 or 4 batches through today, I'm a lucky cuss. It's supposed to rain today, so I may not get that many through. So let me get this lit up before the weather goes to heck. So let me get the burner lit. Okay, burner's lit. Yeah, this thing has definitely seen better days. Not so great for melting metal anymore in its present condition, but it will burn chips like nobody's business. So we'll get the chips burnt anyway, then I'll get to working on rebuilding that. Because I got some more metal melting projects in the future that I would like to do, and I need a better foundry furnace for that. So we'll just let this cook. I'm not going to turn on the airflow until the chips are pretty well pyrolyzed, until I really don't see any more flames coming off of them and everything's nice orange hot in there. I'll turn the main burner down or even off, and then just start the flow of air, and that will, as it comes up through the Crucible from the bottom and air comes in from the top, that'll just burn off all the carbon that's left in there from pyrolyzing the chips, and we'll have nice clean chips to run through the ball mill. Now, it's not all chips. When I was looking through it just now, there's some other stuff too, and some of the wrong kind of chips, but you know what? It is, for the vast majority, it is BGA RAM chips. We'll see how the other stuff behaves. We're gonna cook it in here, and we're gonna run it through the ball mill, and we'll see what we get. I think a lot of that stuff probably doesn't have much in the way of gold in it, but hopefully it will break up into the ball mill and we can wash away any inert powder. Okay, so gotta let this cook. Okay, the furnace is just starting to get hot. It's only been running for a few minutes. That's a big Crucible. It's going to take time for the heat to work into it, get everything good and hot. Once we start pyrolyzing the chips, we should start seeing some flame coming off as the plastics in the chips vaporize and start burning. And that's why I've got the reburner stack on there. That stack has some shark tooth shaped cutouts at the bottom of it to let in fresh air. And as the smoke comes up into the stack, it's going to be very hot. It's going to mix with the fresh air, and it will reburn in the stack, and we'll get very little particulate smoke coming out of the thing, and very little stinky smoke, which is good, because even though I'm in a somewhat rural area, my neighbors aren't that far away. I don't want to annoy them. So the reburner is a beautiful thing. It keeps things from getting too smoky and nasty out here. I'll give you another look at it once the pyrolysis is going well. Actually, I'm starting to see flames licking up in there. So, yeah, it's starting. And look, there's hardly any smoke. Okay, it's been a few more minutes, and we've got quite the pyrolysis reaction going on in there with the chips. You can actually see flames kind of licking out the top of the reburner at times. We've got quite the fire tornado effect going on inside the reburner as those pyrolysis gases come up in there and combust. Just got a little bit of gray smoke coming out of the top of the reburner, not too bad. Before I discovered the reburner, there was plumes of black smoke boiling out of the thing. Looked like I was coal rolling back here. But with the reburner, there's a lot less smoke and a lot less smell. Nobody even notices what I'm doing back here. I love it. So yeah, pyrolysis well underway in there. We're burning the plastic out of the chips right now. It's going good. And as soon as this heavy pyrolysis reaction lets up, I'll start the airflow to the bottom of the crucible. And I'll turn down the main burner so we get a nice oxidizing flame in there, and we'll start burning off the carbon that's left in the chips. Okay, it has been a little while later, and the flames have died down, the smoke has disappeared. I'm going to turn the burner way down. We don't need that much heat anymore. And I'm going to turn the airflow on. How much air? I know somebody's going to ask, what's the pressure, what's the flow rate? Now, I know people are going to ask because they always do. To be perfectly honest, I haven't got a clue. Pressure gauge on my regulator's broken. And basically, I just turn it up until there's a good hiss of air going in. I don't want a huge amount of air because I don't want to stoke the fire too hot. But you got to have enough air to get the oxidation going. So just from experience, I know about how far to turn it on, and I can hear the hiss of the air going in, and I know that's about the right amount. So trial and error, practice, is what it takes. Maybe someday I'll get a working regulator and I'll be able to tell you that stuff, but right now it's just done by ear, basically. Alright, so I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes and cook for a while, and then after a while I'm going to turn the burner off entirely and let the trickle of air flowing in through the brake line finish the job. Okay, I just turned the burner off a few minutes ago. I don't know what you can see down in there. You see that bright orange glow? That is coming from the carbon burning up in the chips from the airflow. I don't know if you can hear the hiss of the air going in. I can barely hear it. It may not be coming through on the microphone. But what we got going on here is we're burning the carbon in the crucible now. All that orange glow is coming from the heat of the burning carbon in the crucible. There's no more external heat going in. So we're getting that carbon burned off. Carbon is bad because it will retain gold. So we got to get rid of it, at least as much of it as we can. So just going to let this go now. That orange glow in there, that's going to keep happening for about the next hour, I suppose, as the carbon burns off. And then it's going to take another couple hours probably for that to cool down enough for me to pull it out. Then I can reload the crucible and do another batch. So it's just a waiting game now. Alright, it's been quite a while now. The reaction is done. I left the air going for a while even after the glow had died down in there, just to help cool things off to the point where I can handle this and pull it out easily. I have to get the crucible tongs out. And there we go, we got some well incinerated chips here. I'll give you a close-up look at them here in a minute. Okay, let's get this crucible emptied out so I can refill it and do another load of chips. I'm going to dump them into this steel bowl. I'm going to dig them out. They're stuck in there. But I'm going to dump them into the steel bowl because they're still pretty hot. And they would melt a plastic container. But I'll tell you what, after they start cooling down a little bit, I'm going to dump them into a 5-gallon bucket, because by the time I get all of Nick's chips done, there'll probably be enough to fill a 5-gallon bucket. So my process doesn't always get rid of all of the carbon, but it gets rid of the bulk of it. This looks pretty well oxidized here. Grab something that aren't going to burn me. Yeah. White ash and silicon dyes. A little bit of black residue on top, but they're white on the inside, so they are well ashed. Alright, good. Set that aside. And I will reload the Crucible so I can do another batch. See if I can get a couple more batches through today before the weather moves in and shuts me down. It'd be interesting to see how much more of this bag I can get in here. That'll give me some idea just how many runs I'm going to have to do, knowing how many bags I've got. If the bags aren't all filled to the same amount, but still, they'll give me an approximate idea. Looks like it's going to take more than 2 runs per fullish bag. I think a 3rd run would definitely empty this one and maybe part of another bag. Okay, good deal. It's all packed in there. Get this back in the furnace. And we'll burn some more chips. Working my way through them. Okay, I said I'd give you a closer up look at what we're working with here. So I'm picking through one of the bags of Ken's chips here. And I've called him Nick a few times. His name is Ken. I did another job for a guy named Nick a while back. I'll put a link to that up in the upper right so you can check that out if you want. But so I'm picking through this bag of Ken's chips. And well, you know, I didn't think that the labels were going to amount to much, but I'll tell you what, in this case, I think this label is heavier than the 8 chips on it. You know, there's a lot of labels in here. So I think I'm starting to think the labels will affect yield some. Because they're just going to get burned away to ash. And then got some chips over here that are not BGA chips. And Ken, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like all this stuff has probably been depopulated in AP solution just from the looks of it. So even though these are not BGA chips, it looks like their external legs have been chewed away in maybe AP solution. But there are some chips in here that still have legs on them too, so that's worthless metal. Going to affect yield a little bit. And then there's a variety of stuff over here that's not chips. I'm finding there's like a few random rocks. Here's another of these SATA drive connectors, which I thought I saw one go into that first crucible of chips I burned. So there's another one. And just a few boards. Looks like they've had everything depopulated off of them. These look like ram stick boards here, these two. I'm not sure what these boards are. I don't know what they are. It looks like some sort of O-ring that's gone hard. And here is a connector of wire connector of some kind. It might have had gold contacts on it. It might still have gold contacts on it. I just can't really tell. So there's a variety of stuff in here. Here's a great big ram chip with legs on it still. So there's a variety of stuff here. For the bulk of it, it is BGA RAM chips. Yes, the bulk of it is BGA RAM chips. So we're going to process them like BGA RAM chips. I'll pull out other stuff as I see it that's not chips and set it aside. But we're going to process it just like it is BGA RAM chips. And I think these other chips will process just fine. I did see some flip chips. I don't see one right now. The flip chips may or may not contain any kind of precious metals, but they should process through and, well, they'll get turned to powder in the ball mill. And if there's nothing precious in the powder, nothing heavy in the powder, it'll get washed away in the gravity separation phase. Alright, got a few runs through the foundry furnace done. These chips just came out a while ago. They've cooled down enough I can add them to this bucket. So we're starting to get a fair amount in the bucket here. Maybe a bag and a half, a bag and 2/3. of Nick's chips in there that have been through the furnace. So as soon as my ball mill is done with another project I'm running, I'll clean it out and we'll start pulverizing Nick's chips now they've been incinerated. Okay, I've got close to half of Ken's chips incinerated. And they're in this 5-gallon bucket. It's almost full. I'll tell you what, incinerating BGA RAM chips does not reduce their volume by much. Nor does it reduce their weight by much. Because there's really not that much plastic on them. But you got to get rid of it before you can go on to the next step. So the next step, I'm going to start milling them in my improvised ball mill here. Made from a Harbor Freight vibratory tumbler full of steel ball bearings. It works like a charm to pulverize incinerated IC chips. I've cleaned out my vacuum system back there in the background, so anything we suck out of here will be Ken's stuff. So I'm going to put a few good handfuls of incinerated chips here in the ball mill and we'll start it up. Now yes, I can hear some of you already typing at the keyboard that I'm still doing this dry and why aren't I doing it wet? Well, I would like to do it wet. I really would. And I'm going to experiment with doing it wet, see how it works compared to doing it dry. But since these are not my chips, they're Ken's chips, I will experiment on my own chips, just in case I screw something up and lose a lot of gold. So I've got a system that works dry. So I'm going to use it on Ken's chips, just so there's less chance of a screw up, because I've already got a working procedure here. And then I will experiment on my own chips, on my own time, and see if I can come up with a wet method of doing it. But we're going to start up the ball mill, and we're going to get these chips crushing. Alright, the first load of Ken's chips is done in the ball mill. So I'm going to vacuum them out. Now I have found that it's much easier to vacuum the stuff out of the ball mill with it running than with it stopped. So I'm going to start it up. You won't be able to hear me, but let me get it vacuumed out. Okay, you probably saw me beating the hose like that, the ribbed hose. A lot of stuff stays in it unless you shake it. Get to go through into the dust collector there. Okay, so I'm going to put another load of Ken's chips in and restart the ball mill. And it's going to take a while to get through all these chips. I mean, heck, I'm still incinerating chips over there. So I still got a load of, I'm only about halfway through incinerating, and I've only just started with the pulverizing here. So this is going to take a little while. Don't want to overload the ball mill a little more. But yeah, so this is going to take a little while. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here, and I will be back in a future video when I'm a little further along and we're ready to see another step in the process. I mean, after I've got all of these chips pulverized and they're in the dust collector over here, what I'll do then is I'll sift them out and we'll do a gravity separation. So I'll probably be back when we're ready for that. And this is probably going to have to be done in batches because this is a lot of chips. So what I'll probably do is maybe work my way through what's in this bucket here and then move on to the next process and then do another batch. Okay, so this is going to have to definitely be a batch thing. I can't do it continuously with this many chips. So we'll be back in a future video when I'm a little further along. So I hope you're finding this interesting, educational, inspirational, killed some time, whatever. Give the video a like, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to see future videos, because there's going to be more videos in this series coming out, and I can't wait to see how much gold we get out of Ken's chips. So yeah, subscribe to see those future videos. Press the little bell icon YouTube makes you press, and check out my second channel, Electric Geek 64. Subscribe there too, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.